Okay, so today we're going to be talking about preparing for your first technical interview, and this is hosted by Competitive Programming Club and Developers Guild. So just brief introduction.
So hi everyone, I am Peter. I am GDSC at the Anza, and I'm a core team member, but also at the same time, I'm the co-vice president of CPC, the Competitive Programming Club. And yeah, I'm a second year CS major at the Anza College.
Hey everyone, I'm Jesse Lutan. I'm the president at Competitive Programming Club, and I'm also treasurer at Developers Guild. They're both at the Anza. I'm a second year CS major at the Anza. I have about 3 years of programming now, and I also lead the interview prep group at Developers Guild, if you're a part of that.
Hi, I'm Masaki. Oh, I didn't put my last name. I'm Masaki Takeuchi. It might be a little bit off topic, but I used to be a former pro gamer in this digital card game called Shadowverse, and I like C++. I'm a CS major at the end. So as an overview, what are interviewers looking for in an applicant? So you can divide that into 3 different things. And you could say it's technical knowledge, coding fundamentals and analytical skills, as well as experience and communication skills. So the first part is going to be technical skills and technical knowledge. So that's going to be data structures, algorithms, also things about computer systems, maybe like memory things, or what kind of processes are going on, or just the technical know-how of any language, things like that, as well as data structures and algorithms. So for data structures and algorithms, you'll see a lot of really important data structures and algorithms in different interview questions, and it can include a lot of things that you are introduced to in CIS 22C and a lot of things that aren't in that class either. So you do need to start looking at some other resources as well and start learning about that and actively using those as well. So what do you need to know about for each specific data structure and algorithm? You need to, for example, let's say you have a data structure, you're storing elements in that. Maybe you're storing integers into some kind of container. So how long does it take to get a specific element? How long does it take to find the minimum or the maximum? Or can you add or remove items? How long will that take? So that's really important to know. You also need to know about memory usage. So for example, a hash table is great, but maybe you need to use more memory than a regular array or something. So things like that are really important to know about. You also need to know about structure. What does a code for that look like? If you are using standard library stuff, it's good to know what's in that code and what you're actually doing with it and the different pros and cons of each thing. So why should you learn new algorithms and data structures? And so we have an example here. Say you have an integer array filled with random numbers. We have 5, 4, 1, 6, 7 here. How long will it take to find the largest number? So in order to find the largest number, you need to go through every single index, right? And until you go through the entire array, you can't tell whether or not you found the largest number or not. And then what about finding the second largest number? Well, maybe you exclude the largest number and then find the next largest number or something, that the largest number that isn't that biggest one. If you keep on doing that and find the kth largest number, that's something called like selection sort maybe, and that's very, very slow. So there are, if you just try to brute force things and just implement things as is, sometimes it doesn't always work for your use case scenarios. So what might be an optimization if you have to look at the kth largest number and things like that? After sorting, maybe sorting is an option. So how long will it take to sort a list? There's a lot of sorting algorithms out there, but comparison-based sorting algorithms are going to take n log n time. And after sorting, how quickly can you find the x largest element? So you have an array, which is a big block of memory allocated, and then you can just directly go to a memory address. So if you want the x largest element, you can go to the n minus x index. So N might be 5, and then minus 1 for the nth largest, x largest element. So maybe go to n minus 1, maybe go to n minus 2, n minus 4, whatever. So you can find the x largest element by going straight to that index, and it'll be in constant time. So that's very, very nice. But what if you want to add or remove new numbers? So if you use a regular array, that can't be resized, right? And you have to create new space, you have to allocate new memory, copy all the old numbers into that new array, and then add a new element. So that might take order of n time because you have to copy all your elements into that new memory address. Whereas maybe if you use something like a binary search tree, you can keep a bunch of new elements in sorted order and log n time and get items and log n time as well. But if you want to find the kth element, it might take like order of n time or maybe log n time, depending on the implementation. So it might also depend on what your use case is, and maybe you're not adding or removing that much, but you just sort it once and then try to find the kth largest one, then maybe an array is best. So there's different pros and cons every time. And that's why it's important to know about how long does it take to use every data structure? What are its use cases? Why is it important? It's because it'll speed up a lot of things if you know how everything works. So a really popular book that you've probably seen before or heard about is like Cracking the Coding Interview. And the author actually has a really good introductory video series on data structures and algorithms on YouTube. So I'd really encourage watching that. It's about maybe 10 minutes per data structure, and they go over a lot of the important ones, like, yeah, like the one in previous slides. So I would definitely encourage that. Then the next section is going to be Peter.
Yeah, I will be in charge of this. So we learned like about data structures, and now how should we build strong coding fundamentals? And what the tips I have for you guys is that first you're gonna know how to analyze your code, and you're gonna learn good coding practices, and then in order to improve on writing code, you gotta practice it. Next slide, please. All right, thank you. And so when you kind of see a problem, and the first approach that we should always try is to brute force it. What does brute force mean? It is like you try out every answer as possible to see if that's the result, and that's the least efficient one, because basically you have to like try out everything, and that's gonna take like a lot of time to run, and that's where you have to kind of take time and space complexity and the big O notation into account to see if that's possible to test every situations, cases. And then after you do that, you will kind of start to design a more efficient solution. And you kind of try to eliminate like certain situations. And then, yeah. And we have to also adapt to different user cases. What does that mean? That means you have to test like the minimum and maximum cases, and also like special cases to see if your program can kind of run with that. And so to write clean and readable code, the term we want to keep in mind is to keep it simple and easy to read. What does that mean? It's like you use descriptive variable, object, and function names, and indentation is also very important. Probably if you have like wrong indentation in Python, it's not gonna run because it's part of the syntax, but other languages it's not. But it's also very important to keep this in mind. And you also want to limit the use of literals, and also like avoid redundant code. And one of the things you can do is to follow the standard conventions that, for example, it's like the PP8 for Python, and like you can get a lot of tips from the Effective Java book by Joseph Block. And so this is the example of a kind of bad code. It's like it's correct though, to be honest. This is like a function to determine whether a number is a prime number or not. So we start with like a Boolean. We kind of if it is it's a small int2, then it's not a prime number, so we're just gonna return false anyway. But this is kind of correct in terms of syntax, but you know it's very hard to read. So what's wrong with it? And you see, like this is not good. This is not a descriptive name for the function because you basically when you read it, you don't know what it's about. And like you see the inappropriate indentation make it very hard to read and to see if the brackets are like correctly placed. And like you see, like there's a lot of redundant things here. Like if you're gonna return false. These functions, you actually don't need the else here because if it's returned, it's not gonna continue run, right? So, but if this oh, can you go back? I haven't finished it. All right, thank you. And also like other things too. And also one thing I want to mention is like not only is the design, it's not like good looking, but like the implementation is like a thing here. You can see that the loop like for I equal 2 and run to n to find like whether or not it's a prime number because this is not runtime efficient because this is how we're gonna test like whether or not it's divisible. Try to find it's divisible, and if there is, then it's not a prime number. Yeah, but actually we don't have to run to n. We can just run to the square root of n. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this is like a very good, a better implementation of how this function, So basically, yeah. And all right. So the thing is, also it's important to keep in mind that you don't attempt to optimize or clean up your code prematurely, and you have to make sure that the code is running correctly without any bugs first, and that's the way you will try to clean it up to make it good looking and efficient too. So how do you practice improve it? So obviously practice makes perfect. You're gonna write a lot of code in order to improve. So you would practice writing maintainable code in projects and assignments. It's like let's say that you have an assignment from your CIS class. I would recommend you guys like just not to just finish it, but instead and finishes and get the right answer. Instead, we should try to find ways to optimize it and like trying for different test case as well. So, like what if like the input is wrong? So we try to think of like different situations that can happen to our code. So we can kind of you can write a program that will include the cases as well. And also like you can improve by solving coding problems on websites, and you can join like competition as well to get to familiarize yourself with pressure and compete for prizes. Like these are the contests that is I would strongly recommend you guys to join. Like don't pressure yourself anything, just try to solve the problem there, and maybe you do better than you think you would. And yeah, so you have like Google Code Jam here, Google Kickstart, the ICPC, the yeah, if you are a Anza student, actually you can kind of enroll in ICPC too. I think the contest this year is gonna be around like the start of March next year. So yeah, the Anza Competitive Programming Club will be in charge of enrolling students for this contest. So if you're interested in joining, feel free to join our Discord and yeah, we'll talk about it later. So one of the resources, one of the page website that you usually think of when we try to kind of solve coding problems is LeetCode. And actually, I think I will share my screen here to show you guys like when to start, because I mean you probably know this one before, but for those who are not familiar with LeetCode, I think I'm trying to show it to you guys. Saki, can you can I share my screen? Right, awesome. Right. Okay, so this is what the main page, the LeetCode main page would look like, and what I would recommend you guys to do is to go to the explore section here, and you're gonna see like the top interview questions. I think this is a very good one. Like you really should do it. Obviously, it's when you first go to this page, it's not gonna be here. It's gonna be here, like because I've clicked on it already. So it's yeah, but this is my second account, so I haven't done like much problems in it. But yeah, so after reading introductions, you can see like there are a list of problems here. I mean, the topics here you can choose from. It's like if you want to practice with strings, array, linked list, you can probably choose from here. And I would go to array. And let's say like this problem. So here's the problem. What does it look like? And you can see like there are different examples, and you can kind of read from this to know what input's gonna be and the output and the explanation too. I mean, sometimes there, sometimes not. So you gotta understand what this problem is about. You're trying to read the prompt here, and yeah, if you're stuck at something, you can always go to those solutions. However, though, I'm not sure if it's available. Like, I think this is the part where you have to subscribe to. I mean, if you don't subscribe, you only get like certain times to view the solutions. But there's always the go to the discussion part. If you click in here, you'll see like there are lots of comments here. No, lots of, yeah, people post a lot of solutions here in different languages, so it's very helpful as well. And yeah, can you share the presentation again? Right, thanks a lot. So as lead code, we also like recommend you guys to try out HackerRank. This one is kind of similar to lead code, but it's easier. The problems are easier, and I think if you kind of start to learn the programming language, I think you should try HackerRank. It's pretty good, but the format is the same, and yeah, kind of like that. So that's it for my part. I will pass it to Jesse to talk more about communication. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Peter. So another major part of your technical interview will be a behavioral component. So at the end of the day, companies want to hire people that they would actually like to work with. So it's not just your technical skills that you should worry about, or like your code, your technical knowledge, you should also be able to communicate with your interviewer and show them that like you can work well in a team, because that's how it's going to be if you're actually hired. So be engaged, be open to critique, and be articulate during your interview. And let's go to the next slide. So some behavioral skills that you want to make yourself more pleasant to work with these skills. So the first one is you want to act professionally. So be respectful to your interviewer, show them respect. They're your interviewer, so you're not at the same level with them. They have a level of authority above you, of course, because they're interviewing you. So you should show them that you're being respectful to your authority. And also obviously use clean language. You don't want to use any like curse words or slang during your interview. So make sure to do that. And just formally, even for virtual interviews, like especially during this year, during the pandemic, since a lot of us are like, a lot of companies aren't really doing in-person interviews, unfortunately. But even for virtual interviews, it's a good idea to dress formally. Like wear a collar shirt basically, or something like that, and also be responsive. So when the interviewer asks you a question, answer them promptly. Like don't get hung up on thinking of the perfect answer to give them. Think of something that you can, think of a good answer that you can give them quickly, because something that they're looking for is that you're able to like explain things quickly, I guess, and simply, and they don't want you to like get hung up on overcomplicating your answers. So prepare for behavioral questions during your interview, and understand your reason for applying. So some of the questions that you might get during your interview, one could be on teamwork skills. So like maybe they'll ask you, have you ever worked on a team in a project? Or maybe since we're students, I guess most of us are students, was there like a class project that you had to take leadership in, and were you able to be a good team member in that? And they want you to talk about that experience. Another one they might ask is your ability to adapt. So like maybe if you're working on a project and you ran into an issue, and there weren't really many guides online to like exactly about what your issue, like what you were looking for, the solution, right? Were you able to adapt and come up with your own solution, maybe like use some creativity on your part? Communications, like Are you able to communicate your ideas to maybe like somebody who isn't as technically knowledgeable as a programmer is? So like, for example, during a job, you might be talking with a client and maybe they know what they want in their program, but they don't really know how to explain it in code. So are you able to communicate with them, like try to figure out what they're looking for in that program, or even communicate with your team and maybe also your supervisor as well if you're an intern. Your motivation and values. So what are you looking for in a company? Like what is the reason that you're joining, that you want to be hired in this company and not like the other one? Like, is there something in the company that you're looking for, like, or also your career, like, why are you motivated to be in this career in particular? So for example, like if you want to be in web development or AI or cloud computing, like, why is it that you're motivated to have a career in that specific field? And also be ready to answer some questions about your projects and experience. So when you apply for a position at a company, you're probably going to, and there's going to be your projects on there, right? So make sure you know like make sure you like remember what you did in your project and be able to explain to your interviewer in depth at least a couple of your projects. And during your interview, always answer clearly with confidence. Don't have a shaky voice, I guess. Like just make yourself confident, or make yourself sound confident.
Jesse, I think you cut off.
Hi.
I think he's frozen.
It's
The reality
Brahma.
of it.
Are you back?
Oh, sorry, did I cut out?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, sorry about that. Did that last part come in, or should I repeat it?
You should restart with this line.
Yeah, we didn't hear you present this slide at all. Oh, it looks like he's still out.
This is just the slide showing our respective clubs, and so Developers Guild, Competitive Programming Club, we're doing a lot of cool stuff. So come join the Discord links. You might be familiar with it if you've come to this presentation, but so Developers Guild, there's stuff like the interview prep group that Jesse leads, and there's an AI group that I think Maxime leads, and he's here too, or I guess, yeah, he's definitely part of that. Competitive Programming Club, the three of us presenting here today are leading that, and we're trying to do an active, we're trying to build up something of something that will last. Like we're trying to create kind of presentations, we're trying to record meetings and trying to build something up so that people joining maybe in the winter or something can look back at those recordings. We're really trying to make it easier to get into competitive programming, so come check it out. And now we're going to have an interview demonstration. Is Jesse back?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna be interviewee, I guess. I think.
Yeah, and I'll be the interviewer. So I'm gonna lead Masaki through the interview question that I'll give him. So your question is, given a sorted array, remove the duplicates in place.
Sorted array, remove duplicates. Okay, so maybe the first thing I need to ask is, should I be finishing a function, or should I write a function, or should I write a whole program, or what do you need me to do?
You should write a function.
Okay, and I like to use C++, so can you use vectors, can I assume that the input is a vector or like a vector of int? Will it be a 32-bit integer or will it be larger than that?
Yes, you can assume that it's a vector of 32-bit integers.
Okay, so input of a vector of integers, and then output, for example, let's say I pass the vector of int into the function by reference. You don't necessarily need to return it back. In fact, that might actually create a copy or something. So do I need a return statement at all, or should I just modify it within the function and then it should be changed elsewhere in the code?
It's up to you how you want to handle that, but yeah, it should not make a copy of the vector.
Okay, I'm just gonna go not return anything then. So I guess I'll have an integer array and I'll modify it in place, maybe pass by reference or something. So maybe, so a duplicate array and it's sorted. So I'm thinking something like, you have something like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. You need to make it 1, 2, and 3 or something. So I need to check the array indices, and then if it matches with the previous one somehow, I need to check that, and then I need to skip over that position or something and go to the next thing. It changes, so I'd like to put this in the first thing. So maybe if it's like 1, 1, 2 or something, 1, 1, 1, 2, then I need to change it in the first location. So I need to somehow get to that first position, that the first new position. So I need to figure out some way to do that. So I guess I could try to number it like array index 0, 1, 2, and then instead of 2, I need to shift it to position 1. So that would be shifting it 1. If I have another duplicate, it seems like this 3 number, I need to put it in this position, which would be index number 2, 0, 1, 2. And it starts out in index position 4. So that's a difference of 2. So maybe that correlates with the number of duplicates in my array or something. So maybe I can keep track of that. So maybe like count duplicate numbers, and then shift copy new distinct number to index minus duplicate or something. So that seems like it would work. So how would I do this? I want to go through and then what would be a brute force way to do it? Maybe the easy way to do it would be to, whenever you find a new number, put it into a new array or something, but I can't do that. So whenever I find a new number, go to the previous open place and then put it there. And then it seems like I'm overwriting these two, and 2 is important, but I've already used the 2 by the time I get there. So it shouldn't really matter if I overwrite. So it doesn't seem like I need any temporary variables. So I guess I need to go for I for pseudocode. I need to do for I until maybe n, with n being the array's size. So maybe I'll just name the thing array for 1 until n, and then so if it's equal to the previous one, I want to keep on moving forward, and if it hits something new, then maybe I want to copy it back. So maybe I want something like a previous integer previous or something, and then maybe I want to move forward, like if while the array of I is equal to previous or something. Maybe that would be one option. And And then in the loop, I could probably increment or something like that. But if I do that, then I also get into maybe array out of bounds, things like that. So I has to be less than array.size, which I is less than array.size and or n and I++. This is actually doing the same thing as a for loop. So maybe I could just write one for loop instead. And if I minus 1 is equal to I plus I, array of, then do something. And if it's increase duplicate, and else maybe I want to copy array of I minus duplicate is equal to array of I. So what do I need to watch out for? So the first initial number, if I go I minus 1, that might hit something bad. So I think I'll start writing, but so maybe I need to go from 1, and then the first number is never going to be a duplicate. So I guess I don't need to check that. And what else do I need to watch out for? I guess if the array size is very small, if it's 1, maybe pass in an empty array or something like that, then maybe I should just return it back or just go back. So if n is less than or equal to 1, maybe I just return or something like that. If I have a void, the function void remove replace duplicates, maybe that's a better function name. Replace duplicates, and then I have a vector event pass by reference. I'm going to call it array. So just to make it easier to write, I'm just going to put n equals array.size. For int I equals 1, I is less than n, I++. I'm going to write a for loop. If array of I is equal to array of I minus 1, then I can, so I need to count the duplicates. Is equal to 0, duplicate plus plus, maybe continue. And then if it doesn't catch through here, then I can copy it to the I minus duplicate place. And let's say I have 1, 2, 3 or something, then I minus duplicate will just go to I, so it won't do anything. It'll just copy the same thing to itself, so that shouldn't have any issues. I need to check, I need to make sure if it's 1 or less, then I want to return. And this is passing by reference, so I don't need to return anything. Duplicate count, replace, continue. So maybe I will test some cases. Mr. Interviewer, do you have any questions? Questions I should answer?
Yeah, I do. Do you want to kind of analyze the complexity of your code?
So far, it
Oh,
looks good. Yeah,
the
could you walk us
time-
through an example?
Okay, so I'm given an array, and then I go through it, check if this one, I start at the first position instead of the 0th position, and then check if it's a duplicate. And if it's not a duplicate, I can shift it forward. I calculated out how many spaces I should duplicate. So it should be array of I minus duplicate should work. I'm never messing with the first position. That's always going to be distinct number. And it shouldn't repeat anything. I'm doing a couple checks here, but I have one loop. It's going n times, and I'm just going through that once. So it's order of n time complexity, and it should be pretty quick. Just one comparison, and if it's not a comparison, I'm just moving one thing to another place. So it should be pretty quick. So 1 is ignored, 1, 1, it's a duplicate, so I increase the duplicate count. So I have 1, and I increase the duplicate count, but it's still the same. And then I hit a new number, and then I save it to I minus duplicate. I is 0, 1, 2, and then 2 minus duplicate count is 1. So it overwrites here. Maybe I should overwrite it on the actual things, just so I can tell that it's not a bug. And then I was here, I increment 1, so I get to here. It's the same number, so duplicate is equal to 2 or something. And then I go to another one, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 0, 1, 2. Seems like the correct spot. And then I go to the next space, and that's the same as well. I end, and these don't matter. So XXX, it seems like it's okay and shouldn't have any issues. Then I guess I can. I only use this n variable once, so maybe I don't actually need to write a new thing. I just have one for loop, so I think I can't. This looks pretty good. I think this is probably the simplest way to write it.
I think I see an error on the first line. You're comparing a variable that hasn't been initialized.
Oh, array dot size. Yeah, that's true. That would easily be caught in when compiling, so it should be, doesn't seem like a, yeah, I don't think I should be going out of bounds, and yeah, that definitely easily would have been caught compiling, so it's probably, I think it's okay, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that work? So that might be an example of running through a code, thinking about the question, kind of doing an example. I think writing out an example and then trying to figure out some kind of pattern or something like that. And then, yeah, start with something a little bit more complicated, but having a for loop and a while loop is a little bit more complicated and it's easier to mess up. So I tried simplifying that a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to add on to that. So you'll notice that what Masaki did there was he didn't dive straight into the code, right? He kind of started with taking notes and asking questions about what exactly the interviewer was looking for. And then he wrote out some pseudocode even, which is a really good habit to get into. And then throughout the whole process of writing the code, he explained like what was his thought process, like what was he thinking about, maybe like the variable going out of bounds or like just details like that. And it's good to always be talking with the interviewer throughout the process because they want to know how you're thinking. And it's also a red flag if you're silent for too long as well. So yeah, showing your thought process the whole time is very good. And Masaki did that very well here.
Thanks. Okay, all we have left is Q&A if anyone have any questions. So if you can type in chat or unmute and ask anything about interview. None of us actually have much like actual interview experience and stuff that we have been prepping for it. It's like, so anything about competitive programming club, developers guild, did I get a job? This is
You
all
should.
volunteer work. So pro game former, yeah, I'm retired actually.
So, yeah, I just got a message from Maxime. So, over at the Developers Guild, we actually have someone who's had quite a bit of experience with technical interviews, and he's the one who founded the interview prep group over at Developers Guild. His name is Tung. So if you wanna, like, if you have questions about like, preparing for interviews or like what interviews are actually like, you can reach out to him, and he has a lot of information about that.
So to
Or better
recap,
yet, join the group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and join the group. He drops by sometimes, so you might catch him there.
yeah, so to recap, technical knowledge. So you need to know about your data structures and algorithms and stuff about programming. You need to have good coding fundamentals and be able to analyze your code. You also need experience and communication skills and work on behavioral parts of the interview. You ever had an internship? No, but looking into it, yes. But yeah, if you'd like to do a lot of practice problems and things like that, then come join competitive programming club. How long does the interview take? Maybe a few hours or something. It probably depends on which step or what kind of thing it is, but I think it's generally 1 hour and you have to solve one problem or something, work through it, and if you get through it, then the interviewer might make it more complicated, add more variables in, or add more stuff that you have to do with it. So yeah, but generally like 1 hour, but it might not just be that 1 hour, it might be several different people that you do an interview with, might have to do multiple interviews with the same company for the technical portion, things like that. Mine was different. Yeah, it's probably different for most companies, right? But
I mean, if you want to, you can share about it.
my guess would be like maybe around an hour or so, but
It doesn't seem like we are getting any more questions. So,
So let's wrap this up.
yeah.
Yep. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much, Masaki, Peter, Jesse, for presenting. And yeah, this will be recorded and we'll post the link on our Discords.
Yep.
So
Thanks
yeah,
everyone for coming.
thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Oh, Dimitri, you do want to talk about the next workshop we have?
Yes, our next workshop will be on machine learning. And speaking of internship, we actually have a Anza student who's got an internship as a machine learning engineer. So it will be next Friday. And yeah, we'll create an event in a couple of days and share with you on our Discord. Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.